the meditation and made it accessible for people with background as your own. It just
Yeah.
reminds me sometimes I see conversations about yoga and some people get really defensive.
Yeah.
But I see myself yoga as something that has nothing with religion to do, just with spirituality. And when
Mm-hmm.
people get so defensive, I feel like, isn't yoga, the word itself, unity? Isn't it about to be accessible for everybody? I see
Yeah.
often they criticize, let's say, European or American people for the outfits. And I think, I mean, if these people feel comfortable like this, it should be allowed because yoga is about, the point is different, right? To be healthy,
Mm-hmm.
to get connected to yourself, to connected the mind and the body. And if that's comfortable for these people, so let them be. Why judge and criticize? So it's very
Mm-hmm.
interesting topic, actually, what you just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And in connection of that, so yoga, it's just like yoga chitti vritti nirodha. So what's your
Mm-hmm.
take on do you think it really we can heal, can adjust the fluctuations of the mind? Like, did it happen to you specifically through yoga? Did
Through
you
yoga.
find,
Yeah.
yes, peace with yourself or heal if there was something before? Did you have any experience?
Yeah, definitely. And I just want to first comment on what you said about yoga being unifying and and yoga really not being about religion. Yes, it started with Hindu origins, and Buddhist as well, but it really is a trans religious. It's a unifying practice, and it's a pathway to spirituality. And I liked what you said about different cultures doing yoga differently. Even within the Hindu culture, there's Ashtanga yoga, there's Hatha yoga, there's so many different, there's different yogic pathways, and they all lead to the same summit. They're all like, rivers that lead to the ocean. So um yeah, so I completely agree with you that yoga, it's a personal thing, and it can be practiced within any tradition or any culture. There's nothing scary. There's nothing to fear about it. And then to comment on the yoga chitta vritti nirodha. So I have experienced the stillness of the mind. With yoga, we do like stillness of the body, stillness of the breath, and then that leads to stillness of the mind. So for myself, um, I would say we can look at it on a micro level and a macro level. On a micro level, I've definitely had experiences of quieting the mind, and this state of in the state of mind stillness. And I've had it through asana practice on the mat. I've had it through meditation, and most of all, I really have it through yoga nidra. When we go through the five koshas, the five sheaths of consciousness in a yoga nidra practice, the first we start with the body needs to be committed to staying still, and we start with stillness of the body, right? And then we have a breath awareness and breath regularity. And eventually, when the body and the breath are relaxed, then the mind relaxes as well. And then we can get into the Vijnanamaya and the Anandamaya kosha, so the koshas of the deeper consciousness. And there, the mind is very, it really, for me at least, it very much feels like in a place of, um, just in a place of everything is okay, and uh, problems are not really problems. It gives you kind of a different vantage point, and really, this just the mind becomes very just still and very quiet, silent, and and it just experience this state of complete being without needing to do anything, without needing to solve anything. There's no judgment there. It's just a quiet mind. And it's a beautiful state to be in. I would say on a macro level, of course, I'm not in this kind of state all the time. That would be.
We're in the
this,
real world, right?
this is the real, yeah, this is the real world, and I am far away from enlightenment. So, so on a macro level, yes, yes, there's the fluctuations, but the point is that we can catch them and we can be aware of them. I know when my mind is like a stormy ocean, and I know and I can feel when the waves are calming down. And um, I love using the metaphor of waves
Yeah.
because even in a yoga nidra practice, we go through the different brainwave states. If we think of the brain waves as mirroring the ocean waves, right? The ones that
Mm.
are more active, like the beta ones,
The
they're like
better.
this, right? Then alpha starts going a little bit, a little bit more, a lower frequency, right?
Lower,
Then
yeah.
yeah, lower. Then we have like theta, and
Mm-hmm.
delta is like very low, so very still, right? So the fluctuations of the mind, the brain waves, they mirror the ocean waves, and I love using that
Mm-hmm.
metaphor. But in day-to-day life, the mind is like an ocean. Sometimes it's stormy, sometimes it's calm. But we can be on our own boat, and how we row through the ocean, how hard we row, that really depends on us. So
Yeah,
I find that,
yeah.
doing these practices, yes, I'm not in a state of mental stillness all the time, but I can recognize when my mind is stormy, and I can also use the skills to get back to a place of increased stillness as much as possible in
Mm-hmm.
stressful situations.
That's the beauty of the meditation, actually.
Hmm.
And so good that we have it, a tool, a very accessible tool. I do breathing as well, and they
Yeah,
say breath work is for the meditators who failed. So I have moments where I really can't still the mind, then I'm trying through calming breath work. Uh, I don't have much time left. I want to ask you so many things, and I think we might need to do another time
sure.
as well, another
Yeah.
conversation. But I just wanted to ask you um, something very interesting for me is from your students or your clients. Was there any like very huge transformation you have seen through the practice of yoga that you were surprised that you didn't expect? Anything that like really surprised you?
With my clients or my students.
Yes, yes.
Um, yeah. I can't think of like one specific example,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of times when people do a yoga nidra session, they say, I feel like something shifted in my mind. I feel calmer. I feel more clear. I feel more energy. I don't know what shifted. I can't
Mm.
even tell what the difference is, but I feel different. And, and sometimes they'll check in a few days after a yoga nidra session, and I'll say like I'm feeling so much better after
Mm-hmm.
the yoga nidra. Something shifts, and I think it's the permission to be, the permission to really take care of yourself through this deep constructive rest. And also yoga nidra helps to release some of the samskaras, some of the scars, the impressions, the traumas that might be stored up unconsciously. And
Mm.
it can happen outside of conscious awareness. So a person doesn't really know
Yeah,
like what happened, what got released, but something shifts. And
they
I
didn't
love
put it
when
into words.
Yeah, they can't put it into words, which is totally fine because
Yeah.
a lot of times trauma, we know trauma is nonverbal. So it's in
Hmm.
the body. It's not in the verbal brain. So I love when that happens. And I love hearing stories like that. In terms of, yoga practice, just yoga on the mat, um, I mean, it's cool to see when, somebody starts off yoga and, and they're like, this hurts and I can't bend, I can only bend this much, whatever. And then after a while, you just see the change happening in real time,
Yeah.
and you see them, becoming more flexible, and eventually, yes, they can touch their toes. And,
Yes,
just
amazing. It's true.
watching people do things that are, you think are not, that are impossible, but they can do it. I I am thinking of one example of, an older woman who started yoga, and she was pretty out of shape, and when she got on the floor, she couldn't get up. Like, she needed a chair to help her get up. She also couldn't, like, if something fell on the floor, it would take her like 20 minutes to pick something up from the floor because she couldn't bend down, and it was very difficult. But after a few yoga classes, she told me that it was the first time that something fell on the floor at home, and she was able to pick it up, and it took her, like, and she was just able to reach down and pick it up, and it didn't take her 20 minutes, and she surprised
Mhm.
herself, she surprised her husband, and
Yeah,
it was
that's the
just so
beauty of it.
cool to
Yeah.
do that.
Can you imagine
Yeah,
the joy? Like, it's a small, simple thing, but can you imagine the
exactly,
joy of this woman, right? And the happiness.
exactly.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Um, we'll have to stop here for today.
Sounds good.
But thank you so much for your time. It was incredible. It was very interesting. And please, let's organize a second one, a
Yeah,
second time where we meet.
sounds good. I'd be
Thanks.
happy to. It was so good to talk with you, and I'd love to learn more about you as well. So maybe next time when we
Ask more questions.